أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I'm really excited to have Mohammedkazim Kanji here as our next guest on our show, and he will be going through his journey with the Holy Quran. And it's really intriguing journey because he has gone through a journey that's quite unique. Not I don't think anyone else has gone through this journey. So it'll be nice to go through the story behind the scenes of his journey and really see what has got him so passionate about the Quran. So, Mohammedkazim, Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Thank you so much for agreeing to share your story.
No problem at all.
Ahsan. So, yeah, let us start from the beginning, really. How did it all start with the Holy Quran?
So I think mom is where it all started. She's been teaching for 30 plus years now.
Yeah.
I remember, well, I've heard, I wasn't there when I was younger, or before I was even born. My brother and sister used to have their friends come over and they used to have Quran classes together. So it all started before me, but it meant that I had a very solid foundation as a child. So, you know, I'd started reciting from the Mus'haf before I was even 3 years old because she'd helped me through everything.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. You know, those sorts of successes I can't attribute to myself, but it's really all the credit goes to her. So it really started from there, and I was just reciting. So the aim was to just recite the whole Quran. So I started just before 3 or just around the 3 years old, and it took about 3 years to go through the whole thing with her.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
And I still remember the day that I was in madrasa. I was in class 3, and mommy had taken me to Woolworths to buy little pick and mix chocolates for everybody to take into madrasa because I'd finished the Quran.
Nice.
So that's really where it started, and she was my first teacher.
Ahsan. That's really beautiful. I guess one of the perks of being the last born child is the mistakes are made or the trial and error has been done before you, and now you have the solid foundation to really work with. That's really beautiful, and started very young. Huh?
Yeah,
that's good. So obviously we've spoken about your mom being the driving force. But in terms of apart from your mom, was there any other inspiration or any other thing in your life that really got you pushing forward with the Quran?
Yeah, there were a couple of things. So madrasa was one of them that I was, again, very lucky that it wasn't really available before my time, but there was a real push that they saw that some of us could recite quite well. So they brought in teachers like Qari Aban al-Hakim. I remember learning some rules with Brother Suhail Valji. So they really pushed me on, and that helped me learn a lot and learn quickly while I was still young. So that was definitely one thing, that having that exposure and that opportunity pushed me on. But I think also I used to, you know, mom used to put Quran on in the car whenever we used to go to school and stuff like that. I used to listen to Al-Afasi a lot.
Okay.
And I still remember there was one day where I decided that I want to recite Suratul Mulk the way he does. And so I sat down, and for a few weeks, I'd just go, nobody would know. I'd go into the room where the computer was. This was back when we had a room for a computer rather than laptops. And I would go copy a verse, copy 2 verses. And slowly, I think hand in hand, I memorized the surah as well because I was just practicing so much and I wanted to just copy his tune. And that was a big inspiration for me. So I think that's something to learn from that as well, that I think who your teacher is very important. It means that you start off on the right foot rather than starting with mistakes that are very difficult to take out later on. But in a sense, the people you listen to are also your teachers. So having somebody that recites well, that recites correctly, and that inspires you as well to appreciate the beauty of the Quran when it is recited, I think that was a huge thing for me, and it's kept me connected in ways that, you know, people think that sometimes we think spirituality is very linear. You start off by reciting Quran, then the next year you'll start learning Quranic Arabic, then you'll do tafsir, then like, it's not like that. We have our ups and downs, and the understanding its beauty is something that even when maybe spiritually I'm not at my highest point, I can still appreciate and I enjoy the Quran. So even if I'm not learning about the inner meanings of the Quran, just having it as something I can listen to and enjoy and recite and enjoy, it keeps me connected, so that when it brings me back, even if it's not doing anything else for me at that point, if I don't understand exactly what that verse says, or I'm not thinking about it too much, the fact that I can appreciate it, it brings me back, so it keeps me connected.
That's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. I think the main thing highlighted there was being in the environment of the Quran, right? So regardless of whether it's constantly reciting the Quran or being able or constantly wanting to improve and listening, and just trying to connect with the Quran through different avenues. We've heard your recitation a lot of times, and we'd love to hear recitation again. But this time we're doing a bit of a twist.
Not the first time, though.
Sorry?
Not the first time we're doing
Not the first time. Yes, we've done this before, and I thought we'd roll back the years. It was what, 4 or 5 years ago we did it?
At least, yeah.
Yeah, at least. So we're going to recite together. We're going to do a duet. And where are we reciting from, Mohammedkazim?
So it'll be from Surah Al-Kahf, which is Surah number 18, and we're going to start from verse 7.
Okay, so we're going to start from verse 7, Surah Al-Kahf. So if you can all open your Qur'ans, or it's on the screen as well. So Mohammedkazim, Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا.
وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا.
أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا.
إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا.
فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا.
ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا.
نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى.
وربطنا على قلوبهم إذ قاموا فقالوا ربنا رب السماوات والأرض لن ندعو من دونه إلها لقد قلنا إذا شططا.
هؤلاء قوم اتخذوا من دونه آلهة لولا يأتون عليهم بسلطان بين فمن أظلم ممن افترى على الله كذبا. صدق الله العلي العظيم.
أحسنت. That was really, really beautiful and really enjoyable.
Thank you. Yeah, it was nice to go back to reciting with you.
Yeah, it was nice. And I think one of the challenges of reciting together is the transitioning, right?
Yeah.
And I think I threw a few curveballs there for you, but
You did.
you handled them well. No, thank you so much. That was really, really enjoyable. So a few things here that we'd like to highlight. And the first is, I think, going back to basics, as you've mentioned in your spiel for your course, and that's the short vowels. Care to explain a bit more about it?
Yeah, I mean, I want to make this something that people can use in everyday life as well, not just for when they're practicing with the mushaf in front of them. But yeah, I think sometimes going back to basics, you can highlight a whole new way of reciting. So the short vowels, as in e and u, right? Fatha, kasra, dhamma. Now the Arabic accent is very specific in that you have to say e, and u, and especially when you're either in a rush or you've picked it up, or sometimes your own native language has an accent and that creeps into your Quran as well. It's easy to be not to be super careful with your fatha, kasra, and dhamma. Yeah, so for example, if we take the very first word that I started with, inna, it's it's very easy to say something like inna, but it's supposed to be inna. And I think you've done a little bit on heavy and light letters already, so that falls into that category. We're not going to go into too much detail there, but just having that sound, and then you just prolong it so it becomes you're not changing the sound of the vowel. It's still becoming longer,
as opposed to elevating it, right?
as opposed to or any other. You can do so many things. You can go you can go you can go you can recite in many different accents, but the Arabic accent is to have that sound every single time on a light letter. And then if we look further in the verse, you have, so inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zinatan laha linab. And this is where it gets difficult. It's very easy to say linabluwahum ayyuhum, but the sound of the dhamma is getting concealed a little bit. So compare that to linabluwahum ayyuhum. You can hear the ayyuhum very clearly.
So it's
And
almost
that's
like a sharp upward pronunciation, right? Rather than opening up.
Yeah. So if you take, for example, reciting Surah Al-Fatiha in Salah, if we say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, it's very easy to say mus, which is actually a sound, but you want to say mustaqim.
So actually going out of here to say almost closing your lips.
And it feels very weird when you first start doing it, but I think once you get the habit, then it becomes very easy.
Ahsan. Thank you so much for your time, Mohammedkazim, for sharing us with your story and your journey and the amazing work that you're doing with your new endeavor, and sharing with us your recitation. It was really nice reciting with you. If there's anything if you have any further questions from what we've gone through, then please do let us know, and we'll be more than happy to address those questions. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.